Final Fantasy XI essentially gave you three choices before starting: race, job, and starting city. While race and job combos still to this day are debated pretty heavily, is there an objectively best starting city? So as a forever Windurstian, obviously it is the best answer. We can end the video right there, Windurst wins. But let's try to look at this from a couple of sides. I will try to be as unbiased as possible, but let's be fair, it's gonna be impossible. I can't do it, I can't do it. We'll look at general size, organizational layout, area, music, the aesthetic, surrounding starting zones, nearby dungeons, available and notorious monsters. That's a big part of your early game experience. And then finally, just some like random points we can throw in. But seriously, this one's going to be pretty low-key. Frankly, it's going to be as ridiculous as the 5 worst jobs of Final Fantasy XI video was, which you guys love to debate and joke about. Because frankly, let's face it, any city that gets you into Vana'diel is the best city. Wherever you started, that was your unique experience. There's no wrong answer. But we're going to give you one. Seriously, let's have some fun. Do not destroy me in the comments, please. Let's start with size. Unless any city offers unique utilities or features that others don't, and frankly, if they do, I'm probably forgetting them, so let me know. I'm gonna in general consider size to be a negative. While grander space is overall more aesthetically pleasing in most cases and generally gives the city a sense of grandeur, unless you're filling that space with something useful, it just means it's going to take more time to get around. And in the world of Vana'diel, playing Final Fantasy XI, more time spent getting around is usually a negative. This puts Windurst in a distant third, because although it is beautiful, it literally has an extra zone. It's 4, plus 1 for Heaven's Tower if you count that. And the others are all like 3. It's also in general just very sprawling. I mean, Windurst Walls alone is like massively large. And even with the teleports from waters to woods and port to walls, it's just huge. It's huge. Bastok and Sandoria are pretty close, but I think I'm gonna give Bastok second and Sandoria first. They're both pretty massive, but Sandoria's laid out a little bit more smartly, if that makes sense. North and South Sandoria have that nice center connection point. The chateau's right there. It's only Port Sandoria that's kind of off in the middle of nowhere. Bastok is all over the place. Bastok, what are you doing? Port Bastok is this huge ranging thing, and there's no real connection back down to Bastok Mines that would give it this nice circular loop. Unless you count like the Mog House teleports, but I don't think those count. And also the Port Bastok bridge situation with the airship leaving and coming is enough to make it lose this altogether. If anybody's ever gotten caught halfway across the bridge when an airship comes in, you understand my frustrations. I think you can use that little boat to get across now, but that doesn't really count. Too little too late, Square Enix. Too little too late. Leading us to area, music, and general aesthetic. Of course, this is also your entry into Vana'diel. This is the first place that you see in this game. Is it enough to keep you invested? Is the first place that you enter into Final Fantasy XI gonna grab you and keep you invested? Of course it is, yes. But I mean, if your experience was anything like mine, it might be a couple hours before you even think of leaving the city gates. So is that city enough to keep you playing? And this is entirely subjective. This is gonna be the most subjective out of all the things that we talk about today, which is pretty much an entirely subjective list as it is. But let's go for it. They're all brimming with fantasy in their own distinct charm. Sandoria's classic kind of medieval vibes, but with those blaring regal bagpipes, which is a little different than maybe you were used to hearing. Bastok is this bustling industrial city in a harsh landscape. I wouldn't call it necessarily aesthetically pleasing. It's a lot of browns and dust, but it does give me incredible fantasy vibes for sure. Seeing all the steampunk machinery surrounded by magic is pretty fantastic and very Final Fantasy. Windurst wins for me because it's exactly what I love. Lush greenery, open waters, the Vana'diel equivalent of palm trees, magic in every corner because the Tartars have just invested Windurst with magic at its very core. And if you ask me personally, I think it is the best starting music. It's so light and cheerful, it just sounds like it's perfect for starting an adventure. I think Sandoria hits it a little too hard, and Bastok's pretty good. Bastok's pretty good. But officially, this one should probably just be a tie, so you guys don't burn this channel to the ground. I mean, it is truly a subjective answer, but in my personal opinion, first goes to Windurst, Bastok coming in second, and Sandoria a distant third. I know you Sandorians are gonna hate me for that, but I've always said I can't stand that Sandorian music. It's too intense. It's too intense for your first moments in Vanadil. We're not in a parade. What are you doing? But let's chat about this one next stream. Bring your thoughts. I want to talk about it because this will be a fun back and forth. And if you didn't realize it, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday on 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. Come hang out. Bring your questions. Bring your thoughts. Bring your bashes. I don't know. We'll hash it out. I love talking about this stuff. But eventually do have to leave the gates. So who's got the best starting zone? Okay, first off, all three zones have amazing starting music. All three are gentle entries into the world of Vanadil, begging you to explore further, venture deeper into the dangerous wilds that await you. Bastok is an easy third here though. Don't get me wrong, I love Gusterberg. It always makes me feel like summer has come, I'm leveling some crappy new job, who knows. But man, that cliff in North Gusterberg is super annoying. On top of that, Dangrove Wadi and Palbora Mines are both like an eternity away. It's just kind of annoying to get to them. They're so far apart. Windurst and Sandy, on the other hand, are almost even, but I think I'll give the edge to Sandoria here for convenience. They both have a great vertical layout with the two zones that make up, just having multiple entry points to get back and forth from each to the other. But Sandy has way more convenient access directly to Gelsby Outpost, which is like right there. I think Windy edges out Sandoria in terms of mob type and variety though. Crawlers are a great early moneymaker, as can be birds. And goblins, I guess, depending on what you're going for. Beetles and rabbits suck. Nobody enters into the world of Vanadil and they're like, you know what I wish I could find right now? A giant beetle and a couple rabbits and beat the crap out of them. In Windurst, you're like, you avoid the rabbits because they're shit. In Sandy, you're like, oh, rabbit, guess it's my only choice. Get it together, Sandy. Now, I'm being a little harsh, but I do love the variety of mobs that Windurst comes with versus Sandoria's kind of blander approach to fantasy. Close one here, but I'm going to give the edge to Windy. This is totally unbiased opinion. Bringing us though to nearby dungeons. Each city has a couple dungeons and beastman zones nearby. Hortoto Ruins and Gideus for Windurst, King Ramper's Tomb and Gelsby Outpost for Sandoria, and Dangrove Wadi and Palbora Mines for Bastok. Windurst, I think, loses here. Gideus is great and has a great variety of notorious monsters, but as much as I love the Hortoto Ruins, there really isn't all that much to get excited about early on. Visually, it's very cool, and there's a couple NMs that are kind of interesting, but most of the cooler spots are blocked off until you're a bit stronger. They come into play much later, and there's this weird staggering. It's not very even in terms of how far you can go at each tier of strength that you obtain. Bastok, I'm going to give second, and let me know if you're a Bastok native and you totally disagree, but I think Dangrove Wadi kind of sucks. I don't know how else to say it. It's a cool spot. The steaming, you know, gaseous fumes are pretty sweet to look at, but I never feel like it's a zone that really delivers. Like, what do you do there? There's a couple quests that take you out there, but you go in and you leave. I don't know, occasionally I'm farming for like the Airmite rings, I guess. Palbora Mines can be an interesting moneymaker opportunity, especially for the early players, but other than that, I mean, if you're not into mining or the few notorious monsters that are here, I've just always kind of hated the zone. Sandy wins here though on pure variety and size. I mean, Gelsby Outpost grows with you as a player, getting deeper and more complex, and what turns into like, I think there's like 4 total zones. It just keeps getting bigger. Opportunities for farming, mining, harvesting, notorious monsters. All of it just keeps escalating the stronger you get, keeping you coming back to this area if you're a Sandoria native. King Ramper's 2 is kind of similar, like some amazing non-notorious monsters that have drops like the Aesthetics Rings early on, then Martial Slacks, the Traveler's Mantle. I mean, these are really good drops and huge moneymakers that you can just kind of get off of regular mobs. If one were so inclined, they could make quite a lucrative business off of little else. But speaking of moneymakers, I'd be remiss to ignore one of the most valuable sources of gear and income in Final Fantasy XI, notorious monsters. This is kind of a tough one for me. Sandy gets third here. Hear me out, because outside of the Priest's Robe, I don't remember anything truly mind-blowing dropping in Sandoria's starting regions. Most of the drops that are amazing from Sandy, as we just said, don't technically come from NMs, which isn't really a bad thing per se, but it does hurt its NM score. Of course, I'm sure you're already thinking, there is the Rabbit's Charm, but that's kind of a 1 in a million drop, and the pop rate's really bad too. I kind of find it hard to justify it as like a real selling point for Sandoria. Yeah, if you get it, you're set for a while, but come on. Leave in the comments if you've fought the Rabbit-Charm NM. I think I fought him once. And if you got the drop, I did not. And let me know if you remember Sandy differently though. I didn't spend as much time in these zones, on my side because I thought I wasn't really hunting that much. But if I'm forgetting something, tell me. Winders has a wide variety of notorious monsters, providing some of the best wands, capes, and staves for early mages, bards, and beastmasters. Plus those lovely little fruit punches that you get like level 1. Those things are awesome. And then once you get up a little higher and get into Gideus, it branches out to like some really great gear for thieves and rangers. But I think I have to give it second for not really offering a true rags to riches drop. The monster sting is probably your best bet, and I mean it was really solid, don't get me wrong, but it's not like infinite wealth. And it should come as no surprise as to why Bastok wins this one, because after a litany of decent drops for melee, the Beast Stinger, the Optical Earring, a great Samurai, great Katana like level 10, I think there's many more, there's basically the best early drop for melee in the game. The damn Leaping Boots from Leaping Lizzie himself, these are valuable from 1 to 75. All the way through, you can see people wearing these boots, and it's for this reason alone that Bastok wins. These are always valuable for you as a player, for you as a moneymaker. They're awesome. Screw you, Leaping Lizzie, I hate you. Let's throw in some final random points, just hitting them out there. You can throw them back if you don't like them. Bastok has Zarin Mines right in the town. Easy to get to Altepa someday when you grow into that. That's pretty cool. Not bad. Windurst gets you the 3 Mage Key for getting into Taramurai Canal through the Windurst missions. This is really solid. It doesn't come up often, but when it does, you're like, I can get in all by my lonesome. It's like the most unique door in the game. It's almost never used. So glad that it's there though. It's really cool. Sandori gets the Oubliette, the deep underground sewer, which is kind of cool, but you don't get to use it for like forever. And then once you can, nobody wants to go down there anyway. They also do have access to Rangamon Pass though, which everyone will eventually need to take. That's kind of handy. I don't know. Just not very exciting. Man, I'm clearly so biased against Sandori. It's not even funny. Alright, so who wins this overall unbiased, completely justified, very scientific method of what the best starting zone is? Windurst had 2 third places, 1 second place, and 2 firsts. Bastok had 1 third, 3 second place, and 1 first. And Sandoria also had 2 third places, 1 second, and 2 first. Which, I don't know what that means. I don't know how you compare the value of second and third. I didn't really give them like a point value. This is why I don't have votes or contests, because I have no idea how to run them. But at a glance, Windy and Sandy both have great highs and lows, whereas Bastok is probably the most consistently solid for a variety of reasons. And this was also, as I've said many times, super subjective and stupid. Plus, I included the aesthetics in my list, which I said I wouldn't at the beginning. I said I wasn't going to include that. If we take that one out, I think Sandy wins, because Windy goes down to 1 less first, and Sandy only loses a third. So it ends up being Windurst has 2 third places, 1 second, 1 first. Bastok has 1 third, 2 seconds, and 1 first. But Sandoria goes up to 1 third, 2 second, and 2 first. I think that means that Sandoria wins if I take out the aesthetically pleasing nature of point number 2. Whatever, guys, this was dumb. Let me know if you enjoyed this and you want to see more videos like this. Let me know if you hated it and you thought it was the dumbest video I've ever done. I appreciate both thoughts. Otherwise, viva la Windurst, and I'll see you guys all next one. Peace. Why is everything on fire? Why is everything on fire? All the services are on fire. Everything is on fire.
You set the oil on fire, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And Hayden happened to be.
Oh, Deathloaf, don't tell us what to do.
But he's okay.
We'll figure it out. It might take us a while.
I'm still on fire. Bro, look, hang on. Oh, Jesus.
Why am I on fire too? How is everybody on